This got mentioned in one of our calls the other day, and Kevin, me and you both were just like, wow, what a great little hook. It was called accidental success. Are
Yeah.
you accidentally successful? And I think everyone that does not manage their business off of numbers is accidentally successful. And that's probably going to sting a lot of you listening. And it did me. And the reason I make that statement so boldly is because that used to be me.
America's backbone was built on blue-collar business grit, grind, and muscle. This is where you stop working for the business, and the business starts working for you.
Hey, Blue Collar Millionaires, back again, Chris and I. Today, it's the end of the year for us. It's New Year's Eve. We're talking about a lot of things. But
Yep.
right now, we're going to talk about hitting your numbers. What's your number that you want to hit in 2025? The gross revenue, the profit, how much money ends up in your bank account. And then most importantly, how do you get there? You can't just say a number. Yeah, I want to do 3 million next year. I want to do 6 million. How? Let's talk about, Chris, how are you going to get there personally?
Yeah. So I always have to look at the activities. What are the activities that are going to generate the results I'm trying to get to? So if you're saying you're going to get to $1 million, then what is the activities that's going to get you to the $1 million in profit or the $1 million in revenue if you're a brand new business just starting out? And then you need to ask those activities, there's got to be an opportunity. There's got to be something to do the fulfillment, and there's got to be some way of collecting the pay. So, how are you getting the opportunities? What activities are producing opportunities? I just recently did a dive in the last year in all of my lead sources to really dive in because this is something that got neglected. I had leads coming in, but I was not gathering the information. And this is a common problem I see in most small businesses is the fact that they know they need data, but they don't know where to source the data. And if they do know how to source the data, they don't have one sourcing it and putting it into a spreadsheet or a deliverable where they can analyze that data easily. Now, there is some CRM systems like Housecall Pro. That's one I personally use on my cleaning and restoration business that will generate reports. But if you're not putting in the information and using the CRM system the way it's supposed to, then you're not going to get good dashboard reports. But even outside of that, as an example, local service ads on Google, also known as Google Guaranteed, that has got a call recording system and its own reporting system when you log into the local service ad website for your Google profile. But you have to sit there and literally go through and show you've booked a job so that you can assign how many of those leads you actually converted to a job. And you've got to gather the information and stick it in a spreadsheet or some type of deliverable so that you can analyze what you're spending on those leads, how many you're closing, what your conversion rate is, and ultimately what your customer acquisition cost is. When I sat there and went through the last year on my local service ads, this was our first year to do it. It was a newer service Google offered, and we signed up for it, and it killed it. We had a lot of leads, but you know what we didn't kill was our conversion. Our conversion was so low that I immediately said, holy moly, look how much opportunity we're missing and how much money we're wasting. But I didn't have anybody in charge and I wasn't doing it myself. And I had to spend hours going back through to clean up all the data so I could have some type of reporting system. This should be your number one focus right now moving into 2025. If you were in business last year, you need to be looking at all of the stuff that you've done to track, and you need to be pulling that data in so you can make good decisions from it. And you need to see where the gaps are in your data so that you can start tracking it this year. One way I do that is I put customer tags on every customer that comes in. I want to know how they've heard about me. That's one customer tag. And the way we tag that is it's either marketing or a referral. If it's marketing, I try to dive into deep what type of marketing. So that could be a call reel number. If I did a direct mailer, that would be the call recording and the reporting. If it's local service ads, if it's pay per click, you got Google Analytics that gives you that reporting. If it's just search engine optimization, then it is typically labeled just internet search. But then I'm also tagging what service. Most of you guys are doing multiple services, and you might be doing a service that you should get rid of because it's taking up your capacity and your fulfillment, your field, your technicians. They're working on something that's very low profit where they could have more time to work on something with more profit if you have a labor problem. If you're having trouble filling your schedule, then probably not going to be the case. But if you got a full schedule and you're scheduled out and they're working on many different services, you need to be tracking. So tag the customer, the invoice on what service you provided for them. So follow up is where almost all of y'all can find more revenue without spending any more money on your marketing, and put a system behind it. I found that I can sit here and I can follow up on my local service ads, and I can probably stick another $250,000 easily if I just make a couple of extra phone calls with no hard closing, nothing special, no heavy training on a team member. Just make a phone call and say, was calling to see if you were ready to schedule on the service that you called about the other day. Something super simple. You don't have to have a beautiful plan put together. You just need the activity. So where are your lead opportunities coming from, and how many of those are you closing? And then what services are actually being performed, and what are the average tickets and the profit margins of those services? If you can get those few things of metrics pulled in and look at that data, you're going to feel like a magician. Man, Kevin, me and you sit on calls with our other businesses we're partners in, and our CFO, fractional CFO, is producing these type of charts. And instantly we start rattling off questions like, why is this? I wonder if we did this and that. And then we're able to go execute the next 7 days.
We were questioning why we have two women answering calls, why there was a 6% discrepancy between them.
Yeah.
And that's how detailed they're getting. Like, why is this person hitting 6 more out of each 100 than this one? And then you start listening calls and you do it. You have to have this data. There's a thing in software, garbage in, garbage out. You got to have good info. It is so easy in 2024. This was super hard to do 30 years ago. It is good. You don't have to track every little thing. You have to track things that matter. So just let's talk about that follow-up. So we do that where we send proposals out. And I'll tell you, when I got super busy, 2016, 17, I was getting so many, I wasn't following up with anybody. I'd follow up with emails. My VAs would do it. I'd never call them. Now, when a proposal hits 4 days, we call. At 9 days, at 16 days, we do that. And we see that out of those follow-ups, we turn another 23% more than we were before.
Wow.
That's massive, massive difference. So out of 100 that were not getting approved, we now are making 23 of those being approved. So then you do the numbers. What's the average ticket? What's the profit margin? That's all going to your bottom line. That should motivate you. Follow-up is the easiest way to get more things.
We heard this got mentioned in one of our calls the other day, and Kevin, me and you both were just like, wow, what a great little hook. But it was called accidental success. Are you accidentally successful? And I think everyone that does not manage their business off of numbers is accidentally successful. And that's probably going to sting a lot of you listening. And it did me. And the reason I make that statement so boldly is because that used to be me. And recently, I have starting to analyze my business based off of the numbers. And that goes back to making sure that you are tracking things. If you're just throwing stuff into invoices and billing and collecting, and the only thing you're tracking is your accounts receivable, your income, and your expenses, it is not enough. That is how you become an accidental success. But if you're not careful, you'll get snuffed out by competition and the ones that are really paying attention to their numbers, by knowing here's how we get our opportunities. Here's our different sources that we get our lead, our opportunities from. Here's what it's costing. Here's what we're converting on. Here's what our follow-up is. Here's what script is allowing us to change and start to convert better. Here's how many hours it takes for a team to be able to complete this job average ticket. Here's what our average job tickets are on this service and this service and this service. We need to drop this service. We need to focus on this service. Here's our AR. What is our follow-up system on our accounts receivable? When you get into your numbers like that, you're actually running a business.
Yeah.
And it no longer becomes accidental success. You can predict, you can become a profit in your business and say, this is what we're going to make next year. This is what we're going to profit next year. And now people will start to think that you're some type of magician. You've got the gold. But the reality is you just listen to the numbers and you make decisions off of them because you track what you need to be tracking.
Love all that. I mean, so many people, and there's nothing wrong with this, when you need money, you need more revenue, they all think about new services, how to contact more people, what other marketing, because we're all getting hit with stuff on reels all day. So you're like, oh, maybe I should be a niche business. Maybe I need to do Facebook ads. Maybe I should be commercial. You do all this. And first of all, it's overwhelming. I'm all for finding new sources of revenue and growing it and growing your company with different services. But the fastest way to do revenue is to convert more. And by following up, by having better processes, by having better proposals, by having better systems within, you're going to convert more. If you do $2 million worth of proposals and you can increase that close ratio 8%,
That's massive.
it's 160 grand. If you do 20% revenue on that, you just picked up $32,000. People look at too much on the gross. I look at that number, that 32. I'm like, all right, now I got 32. And if you really wanted to say, well, I'll do 32 and then I'll pay 35% tax on it, and then this is what ends up in my checking account. Then you say, yeah, I would figure out how to go up 8 or 10% on that. It's not that hard. It's follow up, it's effort, it's better proposals, it's getting feedback saying, hey, why did you choose us? Or, hey, quick question, can you tell me why you went with another competitor? That seems like an awkward question. Some people don't want to answer you. That's okay. A lot of people will tell you why.
We
I get a lot of the same answers. You guys are scheduled out too far. You didn't get back to me early enough on scheduling, that kind of stuff. That's why we're like, everything's 2 hours now.
That's huge. I just had a conversation when I was looking at that, and we were talking about a very big ticket item of service that we provide. And currently, we go out, we do the inspection, we get our measurements, we come back to the office, we write the quote, and we send it over email, and nobody follows up with it. And then when it does get followed up with it several days later, and it's just I was just calling to see if you would like to book. Like, it's a shit show of a process. And I said, here's what we're going to do. I want to simplify your quote building process for this service so that you can build it within 5 to 10 line items right there on the spot, because you've educated them about what needs to happen and how it needs to go, and you've built the rapport and you have some trust. Then you're going to sit in your van, if you have to, for 10 minutes, and you're going to put those line items together, and you're going to walk back in and you're going to present it. And instead of presenting it as an $18,000 quote, you're going to present it in a monthly payment fashion, because we have an integrated system, Wisetack, through Housecall Pro, and it'll give us an estimated monthly payment. And I said, when I sold cars, we didn't sell cars based off of the sticker price. We sold cars based off of the monthly payment, because that's all that everybody cares about is, can I afford this?
That's all.
They're ready to buy the car. It's fancy. They liked it. They're emotionally attached from the test drive. They just need to know, can they afford it? Half of them didn't even ask about what the interest rate was. And if they ask you for the total price, then you give them the total price. It's not anything weird, but we're going to go in with the attitude of, it's normal to make monthly payments on this service. And that is how we're going to swap it. We deliver it right then in the moment. We tell them what the monthly payment is, and then we walk them through the process to secure the exact monthly payment. And let's see if this increases from an average of about 8% on this particular service, if we can add another 5%.
That's why these car payments are 84 months now.
That's right. They dropped that payment.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
When I was first started buying cars, the longest was 48 months. Now I hear people getting 84 months. But these numbers are so key. I'll tell you something we do on follow up that changes, and you can use a little bit of scarcity, and I'll tell you how we do it. So when we send proposals, so we were doing this, like, say it's October 24th. I mean, we're super busy. This is for gutters. It's slammed from 11:15 till like about now. It's nonstop. So we want to get people, for selfish reasons, we want to get them approved. We want to get them scheduled. We want to do these things. So we used to put dates like valid until 10/29. We don't schedule after 10/29, and we'll do it. A lot of people see that and that gets their ass in gear, right? Because they want to get it. But a lot of people, they would come back to us on like November 9th and say, hey, they'd send us an email. Here's it signed by the board. It's approved. It's like they just ignored us. We'd still take it. But now what we do is we send it to them on 10. If they're asking us on 10/22, we're sending it to them on 10/22. 2 hours later, it's got the date 10/29. And then we call them and say, hey, we just shot you the proposal. Just want you to know that's only good at 10/29. That's not some fake scarcity. We just can't take any more on. So I'm putting it in their head. What do you think that person does? I know what they do because they go right to their email.
Yep.
And they get in action. So I'm getting some mold work done here, Chris. And when this woman called me and she said, hey, I'm about to send you a proposal. I just want to let you know I'll have it there in 5 minutes. I was checking my email, right? Because I want to get this thing going.
Yep.
And then she texts me right when she sent it. She ended up not sending it for like 20 minutes. She texts me and I go on there. To me, is that a good use of an owner's time? No, but putting somebody in place to do that, they will pay for themselves all day on the follow-up.
Your customer service rep answering the phones should be handling those type of coordination. What would have been even better is when they were doing the assessment, if they could do what we're about to implement. Literally, that conversation happened today
On
with
the
my
spot.
estimator. Is on the spot, they wrote it and they sold you right then, and then they stuck you on the schedule. It's all said and done because you're in the moment and you don't have time to think differently, get busy by something else, or even call a competitor to see what they do. Like, we're in such a fast-paced world, we want everything instant, and we have learned to make decisions in the moment.
Every company where it's possible, and even if you think it's not possible, try to figure out how it is. You should be doing pricing on the spot. Your percentage will go so much. I had a guy, he came to one of our events at Lake Lanier. He was a tree guy. I had him come out here. He didn't want to give me a price. I asked him like 3 times in my driveway. And he was like, yeah, I'll send it to you. I don't know if people are nervous to have that conversation. That was on a Saturday. He didn't send it to me till Thursday. My wife on Tuesday got the neighbor landscaper to do it. It was over.
Or sell out of your own pocketbook. Your buyer is not you. You're sitting there thinking this is too high based off of your skill set. Your skill set is you cut trees. So why would you pay $8,000 to cut a tree down? You're not going to. But the person that doesn't cut trees is willing to pay $8,000. And if you're the highest price and you know you're the highest price in the area, then they want to pay the highest price because that's going to predict that you will be profitable and you will still be in business 5-10 years from now or longer. The guy that's not profitable and he chases the lowest bid and he's $100 under whatever the bid is that you got, he'll go out of business. So who do you think is going to be around if something goes sideways for the customer that paid for that tree? The business that's profitable or the business that's not profitable and went out of business? The ones that are profitable. That is why you should feel extremely confident in being the highest price because you can get quality technicians to show up on the job site that can pass drug tests, that are professional, that don't have a criminal background, that allows you to have profits so that you can show up with the best equipment to get the job done faster, and you'll be in business and you're able to handle if something goes sideways without there being a problem, and you don't scam them and go AWOL and ghost them. That is why they deserve to pay the most for your service because you give them reliability later down the road.
That's a real thing. Everybody has given a high price to somebody and they're like, yeah, when can you do it? And you're almost like, whoa, that was easy. There's people out there who want to do it. When people say, oh, these people, I don't care, they live in a $2 million home. All they're doing is price shopping. I look at it like you haven't sold them that you're the guy that Chris just explained.
That's it.
If they believe that you will 100% do that, stand by it and do a great job, they're probably not price shopping. I know I'm not. When I do that, I feel like it's because I have some doubt about something they're doing. I don't
I,
want to go meet with another tree guy. I knew he could do it, actually. He knew his stuff. I wanted him to do it. He didn't pull the trigger. But I want guys, if I feel like confident, give me the price. I want to go do other stuff. I would have just said yes.
where
You gotta explain that to people that you're the guy that can take it from here to done 100% and you're and reliable.
and let me debunk this. They're not going to think that you're a rip-off artist. If you
No.
know in your head why you charge what you charge, and I just explained it, then even if they thought that, then you would be able to justify why. If they say, golly, you're just trying to rip my head off, don't retire on one job, that's probably what you're thinking they're thinking. Now, the reality is nobody's thinking about that. But even if you got it, then you would be able to sit there and explain, hey, I'm not retiring off this job. I got a lot of stuff going on. Do you want a business that's going to be around 10 years from now that can back up if something proves to go wrong?
Yeah. Every homeowner has multiple stories in their head that they don't talk about where some contractor did a shitty job and then ghosted them. I don't even know. I know that happened to Chris so many times. You can't even, I've had it happen so many times over the years.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Completely gone. You can not get hold of this person.
So, how are you going to hit your goal next year? You're going to track your activities and you're going to see what those activities, the data on those activities are. How many times you got to call, how many jobs you got to do, how many technicians you need, how many trucks you need to service all of those jobs you expect to do, and the lead sources that it's going to take for you to be able to produce enough opportunity, knowing you're not closing all 100 of the leads.
What percentage of the leads do you have to close to make that number? And if you're like, well, that doesn't really work. All right, so how do I get that percentage up 6%? What can I do?
If you're still lost on this, then join Boardroom Elite.
Yeah.
Me and Kevin hop in there. We've got over 30 other entrepreneurs in there right now, different industries. You're probably going to have somebody in your same industry that you can collaborate with. And we talk about these strategies and we break it down and we say, this is how you reverse engineer. This is how you track. This is what lead service is providing a lot of leads with high conversions for us currently right now, so that you can get the information to make your 2025 what you really want it to be, which is spectacular. A ton of profits, not just revenue, but profits. So check us out. Go to bluecollarmillionaire.net, bluecollarmillionaire.net, and you will see all of our resources there. And you'll find the link to our Boardroom Elite School where you can hop in, and we have weekly calls and a ton of resources and classroom content that you can move through. But more importantly, we have a community of other entrepreneurs that's getting it done every single day that you can build friendship with.
And we do annual meetups and blue collar millionaire dinners. You got to get in these groups. It's changed Chris and I and both of our lives. No question about it.
We'll see y'all next week.
Talk to you.